Hello everyone, my name is Notepad Anon, I write games for fun. So what are we doing today? Well, today we're going to be working on Eclipse Judgment. Most notably, we're going to be working on Eclipse Judgment Combat. Yes, we're going to be working on combat today. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for it. It's not going to be fun today, though. I'm going to say that right now, because we got to write the entirety of combat today. Or at least get the basics done. That's kind of the goal, really. If I can get the basics done. Have I ever heard of Moonlight? I have not heard of Moonlight before. If you want to tell me more about it, cool. Or if you have a PDF, you know where to put it. I did do some things from last time. Sorry, I've been getting weird spam calls. Now, if I go over to creating a cultivator, I did add some images in. I thought these looked pretty good using novel AI as usual, mostly because novel AI is very consistent in looks, and I actually like it quite a bit. Nice, very nice, very nice. And it does do writers pretty well, though every writer does turn out to be a fucking jacked Superman. But I guess that works for me. The big things of what I ended up doing, if you look right here, is the idea of health. Health did get converted. It's a TV show. No, I've never heard of that then. Looking like Yu-Gi-Oh! Monsters are going to Guy Mecha or OG Tekka Men. Yeah, I'm assuming it's drawing from, because I usually use the idea of Tokatsu. Or Tokusatsu, I can't pronounce it. I use Toku in it. I'm assuming it's drawing from everything labeled as Toku. So it's like, oh, well, you want everything labeled Toku, so it's probably a lot of, all I'm saying is there's probably a lot of buff dude art that's being drawn from, because novel AI, the version I use anyway, does draw a lot from that. I've just noticed that anytime you look for guys on that particular novel AI strain, you will get jacked men. They will be completely jacked. Oh yeah, yeah, pay. That's a funny joke there, Mr. Y. That's a really funny joke. Wink. Wink. I also hate artists, so that's another option. Wink. But yes, generally speaking, everything has been turning out pretty well with that particular strain of the AI I've been using. I do like it. Sometimes it does go offline. What did Jort ever do to you, though? I can make fun of Jort all I want. For this particular project, the novel AI has been doing its job pretty damn consistently, and I'm pretty happy with it. I would say for like other games, it ain't gonna work too well. That's just kind of the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But for what this is, it's gonna be fine. This is Chi. Now, you may be wondering, Notepad, this looks awfully familiar, almost like the health area where it was last time. The answer is yes, that is correct. This is the health area from last time. I did end up changing health to Chi. Now, the big difference between Chi is health was the idea of like just your pure health, but I needed a Chi resource. You may be wondering, Notepad, why did you need a Chi resource? Well, if you go here, we go to Mira, we open this up. Shut the fuck up. Like you, don't like you that much. This was our cultivation system. It's the idea of using Chi to do things. And Chi is, the basic concept of Chi is the flow of life force. That's really all it is. What I ended up doing was we needed to do something to get Chi as a resource. How do we manipulate Chi as a resource? I thought originally adding it as like a separate pool would be best, but then I'm like, that's just going to bog things down because that's going to be a completely separate pool of resources to worry about. I'm like, damn, this isn't really working. But I had this health system already, so I'm like, well, let's just take all the ideas there and slap it on top. So that's kind of the 1 to 2 to 3 of why health has been changed to Chi. Generally speaking, everything is about the same with it. One of the big ideas with it, though, is that zero health does not mean you're unconscious or down. You're just in a critical state. You can be defeated now should an enemy deliver a knockout blow, which is a pretty big idea for you. You know, your armor has been broken, you've been knocked on, you know, you are kind of like barely standing up, and they can bop you in the nose. One of the big ideas is that it's not really just a simple binary resource representing damage or health. It's like you don't have it or you have it. It's the flow of the it's a flow of essence. So chi can be used at any time to modify actually rolls. So if you burn your chi, you can just get a +1 to your roll. This doesn't seem very helpful, but if you're off by like 2, burn your chi, burn your health a little bit, and you can get a +1 or a +2 on it. You can reroll either die for 5 chi, so you don't have to burn your karma, or you can reduce your karma by 1 for 4 chi. If you're getting very high up in your karma, maybe burning your health to bring it down would be a better idea. This is indirectly also going to be playing into kind of the adaption system a little bit later on, because you're going to be able to get a lot more chi. I did bump the health values up pretty significantly with a vague idea of hopefully making it to work. I'm gonna steal this Lamau. Yeah, because I was looking at it, I'm like, if I put chi as like its own independent resource, that's just another resource to manage. But like, we already have this theme of balance and burning out, so why not just put it together and just say your chi is your health? The health numbers are not final, but I did use con and soul instead of just con. The hope there is that people who focus on those attributes, maybe they do give talkers a little bit to work with, a little bit more. Because soul is kind of like your talking attribute a little bit. So even if you're like full on talky, you're still contributing to your pool of like, you're still able to do something. You're able to add a little bit of health. You're able to add a little bit of damage to things simply because you have a little bit more health. That's the dream. That's the hope. Energy? Yeah, it's chi. That's kind of what it is. Chi is quite literally the flow of life force. That's really the basic kind of concept of it. But generally speaking, let me just readjust my body here real fast. Yes, today is combat day. Nothing else really changed. I did end up rewriting this segment pretty extensively. One of the big things is that I did put in the idea that Jia are assumed to be competent and capable. This is kind of an idea that I've been doing in the past few games, is the idea of assumed competency. You, as the character, are smart enough to not need to do checks. You know when when you're reading a game, you see me like, you don't need to make a check to breathe or walk across a room. It's that idea. It's just the idea of you're assumed competent and capable. You don't need to make checks for things that a competent and capable individual need to do. It's just kind of the idea of, you're a lot stronger than most people. You can do things that normal people may not be able to. It's something difficult for a regular person may seem fairly mundane to you. The issue is, it does not mean you're perfect. You're still human with human flaws, people problems, even occasional spiritual matters, all have the Zia fully able to succeed or fail at them. They may be able to leap 10 feet in the air and punch a hole through a wall, but that can't stop them from being shy or consoling a friend who lost a loved one. It's kind of the idea of, you may be superpowered, but you definitely are still human. And that's a very, better than human, but still tragically one at the same time. I don't know why this turned out so amazing of what it did, but I love this, that little art piece there. Yeah, I haven't done work on any of the lore bits because, it's pain. Lore is agony for your boy. Ghostbusters brownie points equal chi, I guess. Notepad, why'd you steal my game idea? This was a commission project. Someone actually commissioned me money to do this. So blame that guy. So yeah. Again, this is very much a cultivation. Like it's kind of hard with this one because I need to put in the cultivator stuff later on because literally no more reason to do stuff. Hey, I'm not that good. Let's see. Has he actually responded at all? Do we have any? Gonna be like, oh my god, Notepad, you're the absolute worst, and you're a goblin and don't know what you're doing. No. He pioneered fascism. That's... Thanks, email. Wait a moment. Wait a fucking moment. Yeah, we gotta do a little investigation here. I got an email. You're better. I'm really not. Guys, I don't know why people think that I know what I'm doing. We need to go on a magic adventure, everybody. We have a very important thing, VTT. Let's see. So this is Roll, by the way. I got an email. This is Roll. We all love Roll. This is a new VTT thing, and these were the guys who actually did Chrome, which I know where to actually put Chrome finally, by the way, and also Lancer Battle Group. Yeah, it's out. Are you out? Are you out? This is very important. I do believe Homeworld is officially out. Did it officially come out? Pre-orders. Yeah, okay, so it's officially come out? I didn't know it officially came out. Yeah, okay, I guess Homeworld Revelations is out now. Because you can buy it on Roll. You can just buy Homeworld on now. Homeworld Rev. Completely off topic, but I need to find a dry DTRPG. I mean, come on, it's gotta be on something else. No, you can just buy the quick start through it? Modifius, don't do this to me, Modifius. Modifius, you didn't sell out fucking... Don't do this to me. You did. You're doing this to me, aren't you? They just have zero fucking faith in this game or something? No. It's out. Homeworld Revelations is fucking out, except it's only on goddamn fucking Homeworld. On Roll. It's only on Roll. Why? Oh no, I can't look at it. I'm gonna feel bad. C'est la vie. Such is life in the city. But yes, that is Roll VTT. Where I have reminded myself actually, fortunately, that Chrome exists. And did I actually update my... Well, let's actually do a quick check. Curious Case. Did I update my Curious Case files? No, I have not updated my Curious Case files in forever. Which, I will update this soon. Yeah, no, I will update this relatively soon. Actually, I did put this in here. Okay, cool. But yeah, there we are. And other interesting facts. Getting back on topic a little bit here, in Eclipse Judgment, I actually bumped up the armor pool value, giving people a little bit more health. This is still just your first transformation, though. This isn't your strong transformation or your final transformation, which I still have 0 names for outside strong and final. Or more accurately, your strong and your Sin Devil trigger, because really that's what it is. It's your Sin Devil trigger. Because you gotta let it out, gotta let it out. Bang, bang, gotta let it out, gotta let it out. But let's get down to business. Our main thing that we need to do today is the concept of, what did I end up calling it? Gave it something very, Fists of Fury. There we go. Fists of Fury. Fist of Fury combat. This is a kind of a placeholder name. If you got a better one, now's the time to hit us. They're selling physical versions of Homeworld at least. True. Henshin and Critical Henshin. Au Henshin. There's a good one. See, what I might end up doing is calling it Shin Henshin as our final one. Because Shin, fun fact, if you ever want to know what happens when the reason why it's called Shin Godzilla and Shin Kamen Rider is because Shin is effectively saying God. So it's saying God or final. It's like final Godzilla, final Kamen Rider. So Shin Kamen Rider is God Kamen Rider, effectively. So I might call it Shin Henshin. That would be that's a good idea. Man, it hurts being this intelligent. Yeah, it's like God, true. It's like God, true, final. There's a lot of different. It's one of those words in Japanese that's like you can interpret it like 7 different things. And saying Shin Henshin as you go fucking gamer mode is it'd be pretty good. Notepad. What text font, text size do you recommend and use? If you're using basic 8.5 by 11, 12-point body font, and I usually start at, depending on how I'm doing, I usually go for a little bit bigger heading text. My most reliable one, if you just want like the most reliable combination, let me see. Good. We go here. Well, not High Fleet. High Fleet had its own aesthetic. Will you? Celestial Glory kind of had its own aesthetic. Generally speaking, I usually go for a serif font as the top one and a sans serif core. I like Leto. This is Leto, by the way. This is the Leto body font. If you want the most consistent one that pops up on just about everything pretty well, Leto is pretty reliable. Sans comics, not Comic Sans. It's a sans serif. Heading, I usually like to make my headings usually serif fonts and giving them a little bit bigger. Sometimes I bold them, sometimes I don't. I didn't like the bold very much on the form ones because this is what I can't do it for like 1 and 2 like I usually do, so I ended up just doing it for 1. Like this is what this looks like. I think this always looks nice. This one I use Allegra. See the heading is always hard to like say like this is like objectively the best kind of heading. Notepad, what the fuck do I write? Do I just vomit whatever comes to mind, try to make sense of it later? Honestly, yeah. If you want like the honest to God thing, like I think like the big thing when it comes to writing or writing a game, writing, books or whatever, it's a lot easier to get something down on paper, to at least have something on paper, and kind of looking back on it later, take a walk, take a drink, have dinner or whatever. And once you kind of take a moment, be like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this is broken, or this fucking astounding, and things like that. That's kind of the idea behind it. That usually works a little bit better. And find what needs to be, find what you need to do. That's kind of a big thing too. Personally for me, I like writing these things. I like having like a very clear idea of like where I'm going and how I'm planning to do things. While if I look at like here, for example, I have all of these set up. I have kind of what I want combat to look like. I have what's going to kind of come after combat, which is the Circle of Bonds. So it's kind of like boom, 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 boom. I kind of know how I'm going to do it and what I can kind of start worrying about. Plan ahead. Planning is very good. Don't think like, oh no, planning sucks. No, planning is amazing. Planning will save your life. Starting from basics, it's kind of depends on what you're doing. Like for a vast majority of my game, like planning what I like. For example, like if I go to over here, this is one of the games that's currently on the list. This is just Zombies and Ziggurats. This is one of the games on the list, which is gonna. Fun fact: this game is going to be pushed back to like fucking next year at this point, just because of how much shit's kind of come going on. But like the basic idea of Zombies and Ziggurats right here. This is all I have for it. But I kind of was like, okay, well, I want to make it 2d10 versus the target number. I want to have the frame of an OSR. I want it to look like an OSR game, but clearly not be one. I want to implement some ideas from GLOG, because GLOG is very interesting to me. I'm like, oh, okay, I want to kind of have the basic kind of concepts in mind. You know, more in-depth ones, you know, it's like, okay, like, here's where things are kind of going. Like, you gotta remember, Eclipse Judgment started with about three of these red ones, and about four of the yellow ones. And then I just added things on each other. Like, those preliminary streams are literally me just planning things out. It's me sitting here and debating with myself. Plan out what you're looking to do and how you plan on kind of doing it. Don't like write like hardcore things down, being like, it has to be this way and exactly this way. No, it's like, okay, this is what I want the system to look like. This is what I want this to have. And then when you start writing it, it's like, okay, this is here, this is here, this is here. If you really pay attention to a lot of my games, I do have a very consistent way of writing my structure, how I have everything structured the exact same way for almost every game. Because that's how I operate. So plan ahead, do it, know what you want to write, but understand that it's going to change. So you give me a quick read. Very simply, plan what you need to do, but give yourself enough wiggle room to debate what needs to be done. It's kind of hard just to say, like, this is exactly what you should plan for, because I don't know your game. Maybe you want to write the setting details out, and once you got the setting details down, you worry about the system. Maybe you want to write the system information down and kind of like, okay, I want to make it a 2D10 game with this information and this idea. Maybe not. Depends on what you're doing and how you choose to approach things, really. But yeah, kind of a best way I can work. God. Oh. Oh. So, the Geo. Devil and yeah, no, honestly, it's the idea of need. It really does boil down to a couple different factors. It's some people, for like me, like the thing for me is like, I want to have like the core idea first. That's like something I need. It's like, if there isn't that core idea, then I'm fucked. I don't have it. If I don't have that good idea, it's not working for me. But then it's like, okay, I have the core idea, but now I want, what's the system going to look like? And then I start building everything around that system gradually. And then, you know, the world kind of begins to kind of move into its own things, and then they start kind of working together. That's kind of the basic idea. Everybody's needs are different. Some people really want to write every single thing out before they even write the first word. Like, they have to have a very strong structure. Some people just need a very simple outline. Kind of depends on what you're doing. Things have already changed in this game from my initial like notes pretty hard. Like, things have changed pretty drastically in some fields. So don't hesitate to shift things around. The Zero granted power of the mortals for a reason, and that is to confront devils and their forces wherever they. The heroes are How do I want to word this? It's kind of like, yeah, actually, okay. Actually, while some of the minions of the devil may be defeated through non-physical means, most must be dealt with directly through the power of flying fists, special techniques, and sealing arts, and mystic arts. And mystic arts. Your grand power of immortal for a reason. Primarily takes place. How do I want to do this? Could be I never fucking correctly. Defeating the lieutenants of the lieutenants and monsters of the devil. Will require strength. Will require strength of arms and courage to and overcome them. This is where combat comes up. Gia 025 must be prepared to fight. Must be prepared to fight off the threat to their world. Oh. Must be dealt with. This must be dealt with correctly. Yeah, he did say, 20 minutes into the future for the setting, so I have a few ideas of like how to kind of shift some things around, being like, yeah, we can make some silly things go on here. Get ready for welcome to the Pan-Asian Confederation. Simply just because calling something a pack would be funny. So how do we want to do this? Must be prepared to fight off the threat to their world. So first things first, let's go up to our notes here real fast. We need to talk about the transformation sequence. Transformation hero. Transformation sequence. The Gia are not completely helpless. The Gia. How do I want to word this? Actually, live on an uncultivated earth, while they are able to manifest their chi, and perform supernatural feats. They are still in the beginning phases of their cultivation process. This means that even supernatural attacks against them can easily injure them. Not to mention the unprepared citizenry, unprepared citizens of the world who can barely perceive the supernatural threats. Actually, yeah. Perceive the mystical threats attacking them. The emissaries of the Celestial Bureaucracy. Fix that later. I just need to write down bureaucracy. The emissaries of the Celestial Bureau. Aware of the current state of Earth, and have given the Gia 025 ability to transform. This armor allows them to soak damage allows them to soak damage and be a noticeable target for supernatural enemies. As the heroes grow stronger, they will be able to power their transformation. Greater and more foes. Yeah. Transforming all the heroes. See, all the heroes will all the 0 to 5. Let's see. All zero will transform at the start of the combat if they are not surprised, allowing them to adopt their combat form, and be ready for battle. While transformed, they are fully able. To manipulate their internal energy, chi, and spiritual power. Transform, they're able to fully manipulate their chi and spiritual power. Each transformation state. Pinged. Who's pinging me? Someone's pinging me in Schizoden. By the way. Sorry, this is just called me being really focused. Let's see. Notepad, which is hard, coping from real world existing work, or make it up as you go when writing. And so I'm gonna say you mean copying from real world existing work, or make it up as you go while writing a game. I would say if there's already existing material, things get a lot easier. We'll say that. Things get a lot simpler if you have existing material, simply because you don't really need to worry about things, and it's easier to reference. If you're lucky anyway, what you can more easily do is power through some of the harder bits. I think one of the big things with when you have an established work versus when you don't is you trade a lot of personalization. You trade a lot of the personal aspect of things. In exchange, you get something that's already there. So it's kind of like the idea of, we'll say this: we want to make a Wakfu game. You know, the white whale of so many fucking people, a Wakfu TTRPG. If you say, okay, I want to reference Wakfu, awesome, it's time to do Wakfu. That's easy to reference stuff. You have a lot of stuff to build off of it. You can't really expand on it, though. That's kind of the issue, and you kind of have to say, like, what do I want to take from there? And, like, do I follow the lore? Do I follow which lore? It has its own issues, so hopefully that helps. Technically, this is Shanxia Power Rangers. Very different. Combat. It's great. I hate it. What are the armor made of? Magic chi energy. Don't think about it. Because he did explicitly state that he did want a Monster Girl influence the thing. Hence why, I believe her name is Zero from Drakengard is on here. I can never remember her fucking name because Drakengard's a weird... Not necessarily Power Rangers either, more based off more based off like things like Kamen Rider. That's why I do have a few magical girls sprinkled throughout here. Generally speaking, it's he specifically wanted Cultivator. That was like a big thing as he go through it. So it is kind of made a Mystic Spirit energy bullshit, so it just kind of works. Since combat's theme of the day, what would you recommend a good number of encounters per session? Usually it depends on the length of the game. If you're doing like an OSR dungeon crawl nightmare fest, then maybe like 1 or 2 encounters are pretty solid. If you're doing like a big, like Metal Saviors, for example, we can really only fit in 1 encounter, but I make each encounter try to do something with it. If combat's really fast, you can have a lot more encounters. If you combat's very slow, you're going to have drastically less. Like if combat's really fast, you can maybe get in 3, maybe 4. And that's like combat's over in a few minutes. Kind of thing. It usually though, people are going to gravitate toward like 1, maybe 2 if it's a shorter intro combat and then a bigger combat kind of thing. Simply because combat 99% of the time is going to be the thing that takes the longest. And that's something I'm accounting for in Eclipse Judgment. This is going to be the thing that's going to take the longest. By virtue of just it being combat. Let's see. Need to talk about the idea of combat, you know, kind of like, yeah, this is what transformation sequences are all about. This is work, how they function. Each transformation. Its transformation grants the Shia. Discussed above, as well as the number of actions they have per turn. The number of actions they have per turn. The number of actions they have per turn. And this is what we can do. Actually, transformation and transformation sequences and timing. Aha, we can merge 2 things together. And have number of actions they have per turn. So we do this, and we put in a nice little note here. Going to do transformation. Action turn. We're going to have our untransformed. You're going to only have 1. Untransformed is pretty much like you don't have anything. Let's see. Start event. Well, not surprised. Actually. Kind of like, oh hey, if you're ever untransformed, you're not gonna have a good time. Your standard transformation, you do your, I'm gonna call it your power like currently I just have it as the idea of power transformation. We're going to do shin transformation. Which we're going to have, I believe you end up with 5 actions. So you end up with 3 and then 5. However, the big idea is transforming is very bad. Hey, 40 action boost. Yeah, no, only 5. Which, mind you, the idea is that like transforming into your final form is jacking your karma up. karma's bad. Like, karma's good and bad because it's like, okay, I want to do a standard transformation, doesn't cost me karma. But if I go into my power stance, I get a shit ton of karma that I need to burn off later on. I need to get rid of it. I'm also kind of limiting some of my options. Going full, if you go into your Sin Devil trigger, you need to burn that off somehow because your body isn't ready for it. Like, yeah, no, fuck that. You are not ready for this shit, my friend. Divided into phases, rounds, and turns. There are three phases: initiative, action, and recovery. There are three phases: initiative, action, recovery. Here's what we need to establish transformation sequences. Then let's just put this down to phases and rounds, and turns. This isn't quite how I want to do things, but I'm going to divide into phases, rounds, and turns. Phases, rounds, turns. There are three phases: initiative, action, and recovery. Phases. Here's what we'll do. Phases represent large blocks of time. Actually, phases, distinct moments in time that allow the Jia and their enemies to act. Jia and their enemies to act. Jia and the enemy to act or recover from certain effects. Inflict or recovers from certain effects. For certain effects, rounds are the number. Rounds are the number of total action that we do. Rounds, phases. So phases, rounds are the number of total phases, and phases represent a distinct moment of time that allows you to recover certain effects. There are a total of three phases: initiative, action, recovery. Initiative. The Jia. How do I want it? He did directly cite that he kind of wanted something similar to Tenra Bancho and Double Cross. That was like a very big thing that he wanted. So I am borrowing quite a few from those two things. How do I want to word this? Because the idea behind the phases is like initiative is like you roll for you're rolling for initiative as well as kind of bonuses occurring. Like this is kind of the first phase that you're kind of, if you have the initiative on something, like you're doing well, you're going to get a bonus. If you're kind of on the back foot a little bit, things are going to get harder. Action is like the actual like meat of the combat, and recovery is like when effects dwindle, when effects trigger, ending, things end, etc. That's kind of the idea. It's like there are going to be certain actions that occur in the initiative phase, the action phase, or the recovery phase. That's kind of the idea behind like how I see things. Actually no. Initiative phase. Initiative. let's see. Well, during the initiative phase, each of the combatants will determine their initiative, will determine their acting order. I should or determine their acting order in the during the initiative phase, each combatant will determine their acting order in the action. They're ordered in the action phase, well as resolve any effects, any techniques during the initiative. And during the initiative phase, going over this action. Initiative order has been determined. Each of the combatants will resolve their turn in descending order, performing a set of actions equal to the number they possess. If an action, I don't know. Their turn is over and passes next. Then we do our final one, which is recovery. When the last combatant has fully acted, each of the combatants when the last combatant has fully acted, each of the combatants will resolve any effects and damage they've sustained during the round during the recovery phase. If any healing effects or powers and abilities that are resolved. I guess we can call this up instead. We call it the up. Actually, we know we call it the resolution phase. How about that? Resolution phase. Their recovery, we call it resolution. So it's initiative, action, resolution. Let's see. Damage they've sustained during the round during the recovery phase. Powers and abilities that are resolved. Powers and abilities that are resolved during the resolution phase. Powers and abilities are resolved during this phase. Take place immediately if two or more combatants one or more sides may choose a retreat during this phase as well. Prompting and retreat during this phase as well. So the idea behind the so we do this phases of when all phases have been resolved, the The round is over and begins again at the top of the initiative. At the top of the. So there we go. What do you think of the new VTuber? What do you think of the new Pokemon VTuber? New game, power up. That's Lizard. That could be good. Oh yeah, the Pokemon. Let me do Pokemon streamer gym leader. Yeah, this one. I don't know. I don't know about you. Mostly because she's an electric type, and we don't trust electric type gym leaders because they usually are nightmarish. I guess this is just gonna be their thing. That's their gimmick. See, what I've been actually surprised is that like more companies haven't tried doing this. If you honestly want to do like you want to promote the game, here's the thing. Here's my genius idea. You want to promote the game. You get the voice actors to act cutesy on as a VTuber and have her like play through the first bit of it. Have her learn about things and just play the game or something or do something to promote the game. Then they're gone. It's like a limited run VTuber. It'd be great. Make $1 million. Even though it is very amusing. If I'm looking just here, like Pokemon streamer gym leader, I'm seeing a lot of Nessa. I see Nessa there, and I'm not gonna click on it because I don't want to go to jail. Trackball. Cringe says hi. Signature Pokemon looks like a trackball. All I say is, begone, streamer. That's what I should do. I should play cringe Pokemon games on and make $1 million that way. I'll be rich, I say. I'll be super cringe. People are, well, I don't want to be a Gorbino. Like, you're all Gorbino. No. How do I click on my server? Why do I even go to my server sometimes? I wonder. I truly wonder why I go there. Let's see. We have our basic phases. The resolved round is over and begins at the top of the phase. Okay. We go back to the initiative phase. During the initiative phase, the combatant will determine their order in the action phase, resolving techniques during. So we will rewrite this section is during the. By rolling 1d10 score. Whoever scores the highest will act. Whoever scores the highest will act first in their section of the not action map. I guess we would call it the combat map. The combat actually. Whoever scores from. Actually, no, we'll just call it the battle map. Call it the battle map for now. Whoever scores the highest will act first in their section of the battle map. Their section of the battle. Their section of the battle map. The effects resolve from the top to the bottom. Effects resolve from the top to the bottom of the battle map itself. There we go. Effects resolve from the top to the bottom of the battle map. From the top to the bottom of the battle map. If two or more combatants roll the exact same. No. The initiative roll can be augmented. Similar to standard. Actually, no. During the initiative phase, each of the combatants will determine their action order by rolling a. Here a little bit, we're going to be making a. I'm rolling an agility check. Whoever scores the highest will act first in their section of the battle. All standard roll augmentations do factor into this. All standard roll augmentations do factor into this. Can be used for the initiative roll. All standard roll augmentations can be used for the initiative roll. Should two of the combatants roll equal to one another, the Gia. Actually, should two of the combatants roll equal to one another, then depending on the transformation state of the Gia, will they act first or second, and then we do this, we go back down to combat. Oh no, we do this, we place this right here. Hello, my name is Elder. I would like to share with you the most. Put this right here, standard. The minions. The minions. They will act before minions. They will act before. Before lieutenants, and they will act before a transformation. There we go. So it's kind of the idea of being like, for example, I roll my initiative, I score a 33, they have a 33 initiative as well. If I am in my power stance, if I'm in my power transformation and you're a lieutenant, I'm going to go before the lieutenant. I'm going to be able to act before them. If I'm in my Shin transformation, I'm going to be able to go before monsters, lieutenants, and minions. If I'm untransformed, I technically don't act before anybody else. I should actually say, I only act before mortals. If there's a mortal in the fight, I'll act before them. But I don't. You're not even faster than a minion if you're completely untransformed. That's very dangerous. This is only if you roll equal to them. So that's kind of an idea. Which is very encouraging that you burn maybe a little bit of chi to bump your numbers up just a little bit. I mean, like, I can get just a little bit more, just a smidge. Maybe I can get just one second. That's why it's like if you hit like the Shin transformation, like literally the only thing that can really defeat you is a monster, but you will never be able to fully defeat the devil. If you and the devil roll equal, he will always go before. Because he is a terrifying monster creature and you'll fuck your shit up even in your strongest transformation. Because that's the point. He's supposed to be very strong. Can do this if I want. I'm not gonna do that. I am going to bump it up to 12, do a indirect version of this. Let's see. So we've determined how initiative works. We've determined kind of how the basic concept of initiative. Minions, minions and mortals. Minions and mortals do not roll for initiative. Instead, they will have a static. They'll have a static value. They'll have a static value, often between 20, often between 10 and 40. Often between 10 and 40. Asia. Finally, during the initial, finally, some effects may resolve or trigger during the initiative phase. These are always resolved. These are always first, and should multiple effects take place, take place at once. The highest on the board will always resolve first. Always resolve first. Will always resolve first. So it's kind of like the idea of like, if you're pretty much, enemies are always going to be end up resolving before anybody else. That's kind of like one of the problems. Like, enemy stuff is going to trigger first, and then yours, unless you be really aggressive. If you're super aggressive, that means you get to kind of move forward and able to kind of be a little bit more direct about things. When all phases round is over. So let's see. Combatants will resolve any effects and damage they've sustained during the round, the resolution phase. Should a damage is when combatants are fully active, the combatants will resolve any effects and damage they've sustained during the round. Powers and abilities are resolved during this phase. What dice system is this game on? D100, actually. Technically a percentile-based system. Kind of an odd percentile-based system. Oh, no more says she's... Powers and abilities that are resolved during the phase take place immediately. Damage is let's see. Damage is dealt on the amount of damage sustained at once. So a high, going from highest to lowest. Take place immediately before any triggered effects. For damage or effects. Damage is dealt on the amount of damage is... How do I want to word this? It's pretty much like the idea of like, actually damage is calculated in order of the amounts. Damage is calculated in the order of the amounts sustained, going from the highest amount to the lowest the highest amount to the lowest amount. So it's kind of like the idea of like, if like a very big like boss monster takes like a 50 damage or whatever and is destroyed, he may cause like a ripple effect that does other damage to other people, changing some of the factors. So it's like, okay, we want to do a lot of damage to this guy to make sure he dies first. So there's a little bit of a puzzle there, but we also be like, well, we know that this guy is going to take the most amount of damage. He's going to be pretty much, his damage is going to get resolved first. So we need to make sure that he's healed up before any of that actually kind of resolves itself, so he can still be standing at the, because we know kind of how that's going to be working. It's not going to be that big of a deal. It's not going to happen much, but in case like there's any some like weird niche cases, so it's just kind of like goes from highest amount to lowest amount. It also makes it for like minion spawner enemies, being like, if you take out the minion spawner, obviously the minions aren't going to show up anymore. So that's kind of its own value. Damage is calculated in order to sustain from the highest amount to the lowest. From the highest amount to the lowest amount. Should an enemy be annihilated or a Jia taken out, they will be removed. They will be removed from combat at this. Yeah, we put that there. When all actions have been resolved, phases have been resolved, the round is over. When the resolution phase has concluded, the next round begins. At the initiative phase. Good put that. Skip this phase. If resolve everything but just by strictly battle map position. There we go. This is kind of like, this is a little bit of an alternate rule, just like, hey, if you want to just kind of skip this bit, you can. This is so we do that. Heaven and hell. Fight. So, combat. When fight breaks out, the divine master will produce the battle map. The battle map, an abstract representation of the space between allies and enemies, as well as the aggression on both sides. Okay, everybody, now we get to do something fun, otherwise known as we get to make a really janky ass fucking map in Paint. Yay, jank ass maps in Paint. I sure do love making random ass maps in Paint.fucking-net. Okay, so we need to do that with, we'll make that 6, and we'll make it like by 18 or a little bit large, but I can make this work. I'm probably going to have to remake this, but I just need something to work with. So I'm going to use Carlito. Carlito is a nice font, and we're going to say this is going to be the battle map. Go team! Yeah, battle map time. Batelios Mapios. So the battle map, and then we're going here, that. Basic battle map, and I want to, like, maybe we split it up into, like, because I want to make it kind of a, maybe, When in doubt, go to Chinese numerology. Chinese numerology. Hello. Tell me more about numerology. I mean, an odd number. What's a good odd number? 7. Life essence. Something else. You do 5. 5 sounds like me. Especially with the 5 elements, liquor smooth. 7 or 5, 7 or 5, 7 or 5, 7 or 5. We're gonna go with 5. I'm feeling 5. Let's check something real. Yeah, this is Veronica has 5. Fuck. Because we want the idea of maintaining balance. So if we go with 5, do something along the lines of like, this is going to be completely uneven. I just need to like write this down more than anything. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I could just be a gamer and just use Kiss Knights. Yeah, yes, here's the 15-point fucking battle map for you to enjoy your time on. Fuck you, gamers. You disgusting gamers. Okay, so we need Chinese, what's a good thing to work with, everybody? Come on, gamers, we need, Chinese. Keep hitting fucking, that sticky key, god fucking damn it. Chinese. Deal. With the dead of hell. Combination of Buddhist concepts. Chinese. Rock. Chinese theology. Woo! 3 models. It feels like there should be like a really good. There should be a good name for these, but I don't really know what to call it. But what I'm gonna call it pretty much is like, this is just gonna be my jank ass beginning version, just so I have something, which is gonna call Henshin. Actually, we're not gonna use Carlito for this. We're gonna call this start. We're gonna call this how do we want to? So we'll call this Earth. We'll call this Hell. We'll call this Purgatory. I know we can call this Heaven, or Hell. Call this the Ascent. You rise up. With the idea being like you start at the top and then you rise up. Now, if I wanted to be a little bit more like precise about things, I would do something like this. So you rise from hell up to heaven, and pretty much all the allies start up here. I'm gonna do it like this for now because this is just kind of nicer to Zodiac. You could use Sacred Beasts. Yeah, it's one of those things like what I want to describe. Like this is how I'm imagining things. But for example, here's Hell. So you might have like an enemy, you might have like the main like bad guy here, and you might have, for example, like an enemy here, an enemy here, an enemy here, like He might have like 4 little enemies up front, and you have the big bad guy currently in hell. Well, you, on the other hand, are like, okay, obviously we want to survive this because we're cool. It's like, okay, one of us is in heaven, one of us is in ascent, 2 of us are in earth. So it's kind of like the kind of like the idea of, like, we use this as an example. The guys in earth are currently engaged with this. The guy in ascent can kind of hit melee attacks as well, but he's still he's a little bit safer, but he's going to be acting later. The guy in heaven can really only use range attack because he's not in range of anybody. Now, the bad state of affairs is when this occurs and, you know, the enemies have broken into the ascent. They've pretty much broken your lines a little. So it's a little bit like, we want to hold them here just as much as they want to hold it here, while also always kind of trying to push forward to the enemy while you trying to hold them back from pushing you back. So it's kind of a back and forth. That's kind of how I'm seeing it. If I were to flip things around, it would, that's not, it would look something more along the lines of this. So it's kind of like the allies are up top and the enemies are at the bottom. This seems really weird to me. Like, something about it doesn't seem right to put that at the bottom versus the top. So it feels odd. So yeah. Help, I want to go to sleep and my cat sat in my lap. Throw, kitty! Eat, kitty! Playing a Chinese... We're working with a Chinese game regardless. I'm a good person. I'm not horrifically racist, I promise. We'll do that. 10 cent hire me. We'll do this is kind of our basic battle map. It's a very simplified battle, by the way, but this is a very important idea. Yep, fight breaks out, aggression on both sides. Dun 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 dun. Pinged me again. Who keeps pinging me? Why do you ping me? Hello, Mythic. How do you do? Guys, you do the fucking Halo game. Still there. Fucking there. Eat cat. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. I will be back in 2 seconds. Hello, I'm alive. Apologies. Why is it so hard to get Fate dice, or at least clean pit D6 to D-face with a Sharpie marker? Ace dice from Carta Mundi are so beat up coming out of the box, it's ridiculous. Fate dice and Genesis dice and all of those kind of dice are just gimmick dice. That's kind of the unfortunate reality of it. The gimmick dice will always be a lot more expensive or a lot harder to come across. Like, let's I'm curious. Let's do a little bit of a, so we want to go to Genesis dice. If we go to Genesis dice, for example, if you want to buy a full pack of these fucking things, which you need to play any Genesis game, it's gonna set you back $15, and that's just a single set for you. So if everybody gets it, if you give like a 4-player group, it's gonna be like maybe a little bit more. Like it's probably gonna be about $30. Or you end up gambling with trying to get like the big like or you end up with like some of these things where it's like just the big box of rejects where you can kind of make a gamble of like you might get it. Like, you might be lucky enough and get, like, some just weird dice. Like, these are how I got almost all of my dice were the reject dice. Usually the case with the reject dice is that one dice in the set became defective, and they couldn't use it anymore, so they just scrap them. That's a very common thing with a lot of these dice. Like, yeah, like, you kind of see these. Or they turned out scuffed or fucked up in some way. That's kind of the idea. So if you want to get like Fate dice on the cheap, you need to go through that. Genesis dice, what Nintendo don't. Yeah, it's Genesis dice. There's a reason I've never gone over Genesis. And one of the big reasons I've never really gone over Genesis is it's hard to like say like, yeah, I can roll, because I can clearly see like, okay, there's a 20% chance you're gonna roll with this. This is kind of like how the numbers work out. Genesis, it's like you roll a blippy bloop, therefore your Fandango score goes up by 5. It's like, no. Yeah, no, it's always been a fairly consistent thing, and that's why I've always been like, Genesis stuff. I would like to go over Genesis stuff. It's just hard. Okay, so let's see. So where were we? We were... Fight breaks out, the Divine Master will produce the battle map, an abstract representation of space between allies and enemies, as well as aggression on both sides. All Algia and their allies. Allies will begin in either heaven, ascent, or earth. All allies begin on either heaven, ascent, or earth, while their enemies will begin on hell, descent, or earth. On hell, descent, or earth. During the initiative phase, the order of actions will be determined in order of hell, ascent, earth, ascent, heaven. Again, this is why I'm thinking about like flipping it around, putting making it ascending instead, so it'd go from hell, descent, earth, ascent, heaven. So it goes up instead of down, but it just kind of feels awkward to put players up top, so I'll debate on that a little bit. During the initiative phase, the order of action will be determined in order of hell, descent, earth, ascent, and heaven. Okay, certain okay, so when making attacks, all combatants can make a melee strike in any adjacent location, while ranged attacks renegade, not renegade, you know, Xavier, renegade, and angel, while ranged attacks and mystic abilities, while ranged attacks can be anywhere on the map, be anywhere on the battle map. Enemies or allies cannot naturally pass through other enemies not naturally pass through. Let's see, enemies or allies cannot naturally pass through the opposite. Cannot naturally pass through the opposition. Not actually pass through the opposition with simple movement, requiring time or a feature to break through the enemy lines. As long as there is a single enemy in a location, I don't really know how to location. Allies cannot move. Allies. As long as there is a single entity in the location, their enemies cannot pass through them. Let's see. As long as there's a single combatant in the location, the enemies cannot pass through. Being in the same location. Let's see. Consider be engaged with one another. Changing blows and strikes in a close quarter duel for supremacy. In a close quarters duel for supremacy. Close quarters duel for supremacy. Let's see. Being in the same location, you can't either engage, and engage is going to have some certain safety, mostly when it comes to combat, because combat's going to be action opposed roll. We remember what posed rolls do. Posed rolls very simply are a roll off. So let's say, for example, I have my roll. I roll a total of 74. Fucking yep, 74. My enemy would roll 78. Oh no, he would have beaten me in this fight. That means I would going to lose. Now, obviously, since I'm an intelligent creature, I could be like, I'm going to burn 5 of my health to bump my 74 to a 79. Now I'd be able to hit you a little better, but I burnt my own health doing it. Or, hey, I can swap my dice around, like so I have an advantage, so I gain something from it. That's where the idea of using karma and your abilities to kind of overpower your enemies more than anything. Being in the engaged state pretty much means, like, you're right next to each other. You have to fight one another. You can't go beyond him just as much as he can't go beyond you. So the ideal state of being for a vast majority of characters is going to be something like a frontline, is kind of going to be like a frontliner. Your DPS guy is going to be in the back, and then kind of like your more support guys are going to be back here. Like, this frontliner is going to be the guy taking the brunt of the damage. This is how I'm, like, I have to make a guesstimate of, like, what players are going to be end up doing. So my guess would be on a standard 4-player group. Let's just say a standard 4-player group. My guess would be either 2 frontline, 1 DPS, 1 support. You know, who is more ability maxing than anything, or 1 frontline, 2 DPS, 1 support. Because the idea is, like, your DPS guys, these guys, kind of the faster ones, are going to be the one trying to break through the back line to get to the bigger enemies. These are your Red Rangers kind of thing. They're going to be kind of leading from the front. They're going to be kind of pushing forward. But they're also going to be the ones kind of coming out. They want to position themselves in a good place, but they also are going to be the first ones being attacked should an enemy end up breaking through. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing things anyway. I can only make a deduction of how players are going to act. Because I've been surprised more than once. Trust me. No. Why do I do this? Why do I keep looking at my server? Why do I look at this? Why do I look at my server, guys? Like, why do I do this? I should stop. Stop looking at my server, please, God. Why do I do this? Let's see. So, kind of. No. Each battle. Oh, while the battle map may be the same. This is an abstraction of a location. Location. Each battlefield will have a certain number. Of features. On average 3 to 6. On average 3 to 6. On average 3 to 6. On average. Each battlefield has a certain number of features to change the nature of the fight and provide additional options for the Yeah, I nearly typed in something I shouldn't have. Provide new options for the Gia and their enemies. Getting another phone call. Cool. Give me one moment. Hello, I am alive. Going to sleep. Yes, go to sleep. Notepad, how were you surprised in the past? The fuck? I know you use voice to text. Okay, no. No. How are you surprised in the past? What do you mean? In your games? Maybe I'm misreading this. Am I surprised about things I've done in the past? I don't know. I think I know what you're trying to say, but I also don't. Where was I? Mutual. Features can be a variety of different tools, and actually a variety of different objects and locations spread around all five of the location. Spread around all 5 of the locations. When a Gia can manipulate a feature for either a raw bonus to a roll, plus 20%. We'll do a plus 20, a raw bonus